You built a $720 million empire. 300 employees work for companies you own. Money moves through businesses with your fingerprints on them every single day. Property managers collect rent. Technicians answer service calls. Customers swipe cards. Trucks leave warehouses before sunrise. And right now, you're standing inside a gas station holding a $2 coffee. The kid behind the register doesn't look up. He doesn't know your name. He doesn't know that the man standing in front of him could buy the building, the business next door, and probably the whole block without changing his lifestyle. And that's the part people get wrong. They think becoming rich means becoming visible. They think the money is supposed to announce itself. The car gets louder. The house gets bigger. The watch gets brighter. The Instagram gets busier. But this man built his fortune in the opposite direction. He became harder to notice as he became richer. This isn't a story about a lucky stock pick or a viral startup. It's about laundromats, self-storage, a mobile home park, an HVAC company that services half the county, and a decision that sounds almost impossible in a world obsessed with being seen. What if you could become wealthy and never need anybody to know it? Because the strangest part of this $720 million empire isn't how big it became. It's how ordinary the man who built it still looks. You wake up at 5:40 in the morning. Not because an app told you to, not because a motivational video told you that successful people wake up before everyone else. Your body simply learned the schedule. 11 years of repetition will do that. The room is quiet. No marble staircase, no ocean view bedroom, no assistant waiting outside the door. Just plain furniture, a phone, and the first decision of the day. Coffee. Instant coffee. You could buy the expensive machine. You could order the beans people photograph on social media. You don't. Because somewhere along the way, coffee stopped being a statement about who you were. Then you walk outside. The truck is still there. A 2014 pickup, about 190,000 miles. The air conditioner rattles. The paint has seen better years. Someone at the gas station once offered to buy it from you 3 separate times because he thought it was becoming a classic. You smiled. You kept driving. By 9, you're sitting at a desk in a spared bedroom. 3 monitors, 1 spreadsheet, 41 companies. Not 41 glamorous companies. That's important. A laundromat, a mini storage facility in Ohio, a mobile home park outside Tulsa, an HVAC company that services half the county. Businesses people use without ever wondering who owns them. That's the beauty of boring. Nobody dreams about becoming famous because they own a laundromat. Nobody walks into a storage facility and asks who is behind the ownership structure. Nobody sees an HVAC van and thinks they're looking at a fortune. But the money doesn't care whether the business is glamorous. Money cares whether the business works. Customers pay. Expenses get controlled. Employees do their jobs. Debt gets serviced. Cash flow gets reinvested. And slowly, almost invisibly, the machine gets bigger. That is the first lesson of this story. The businesses that attract the least attention can sometimes create the most freedom. Not overnight, not dramatically, but repeatedly. One payment, one property, one acquisition, one boring decision at a time. 15 years earlier, the picture looked completely different. You were 26. Your salary was around $41,000. You rented a small place above a dry cleaner. There was no trust fund, no wealthy uncle waiting with a check, no famous mentor opening doors. What you had was a library card, and one question you couldn't stop asking. How do boring people quietly get rich while everybody else is busy trying to look rich? That question changed everything. You started reading about businesses that people ignored, not because they were exciting, because they were necessary. People need clean clothes. People need storage. People need repairs. People need places to live. The first real bet is tiny, $4,300 into a failing laundromat.
To most people, it looked like a bad idea. The machines were old, the place was tired, customers weren't exactly lining up outside. But you saw something different. You didn't see a laundromat, you saw a machine that could produce cash every day if the underlying problems were fixed. So you learned. You fixed machines yourself. You spent weekends with tools instead of weekends trying to impress people. You studied expenses. You watched which machines broke most often. You learned which hours were busy. You learned what customers complained about. And you kept the profits inside the business. That last part mattered because the first money you make is not money you spend. It's money that gives the machine a chance to become larger. By year 3, the laundromat helped fund the down payment on a duplex. The duplex wasn't glamorous either, but now you had 2 sources of cash flow. Then another property, then another business opportunity. By year 6, the little portfolio was no longer just an investment. It was becoming a system. A system where one asset helped finance the next.
And that changes the psychology of money. When your paycheck is your only engine, every month feels like a deadline. When assets begin producing cash, time starts working differently. By year 11, you weren't staring at stock tickers hoping for a miracle. You were signing checks that helped pay other people's mortgages. You weren't chasing one giant win. You were stacking small wins until they became difficult to ignore. And that is how the empire started. Not with a billionaire lifestyle, with a $4,300 decision that almost nobody would have bragged about. The secret wasn't that every investment worked. The secret was that the system didn't require every investment to be spectacular. One laundromat became cash flow. Cash flow helped create a property position. Property created stability. Stability created the ability to buy another business. Another business created another stream. And suddenly the question wasn't, how do I make money this month? It became, where should the next dollar go? That is a completely different game. Most people are trained to think in purchases. A bigger house, a newer truck, a better phone, a nicer vacation. But an owner starts thinking in assets. What does this dollar buy? What does it produce? How long does it produce? Can it fund the next asset? That mindset is almost invisible from the outside. Someone sees an old truck. They don't see the spreadsheet. They see a plain shirt. They don't see the ownership structure. They see a laundromat. They don't see decades of cash flow. That's why the empire can hide in plain sight. The founder isn't trying to look poor. He's trying to make sure his lifestyle doesn't become dependent on proving he's rich. There's a difference. If your expenses rise every time your income rises, you can become a high-income person with no freedom. But if your lifestyle stays relatively stable while your assets compound, something unusual happens. The gap between what you earn and what you need gets wider. That gap becomes capital. Capital becomes ownership. Ownership becomes leverage. And leverage, used carefully, turns ordinary businesses into something much larger. By the time people notice the result, the important work has already happened. But silence has a cost, and nobody puts that part in the business book. You can't always tell your best friend the truth. He complains about a $60,000 salary. You nod, you listen, you say the safe thing. Because what happens if you say, actually, I own pieces of 41 companies? The conversation changes. Maybe he jokes. Maybe he asks for money. Maybe he starts treating every invitation like an opportunity. Maybe the friendship survives. Maybe it doesn't. You learn this slowly. Visibility changes relationships.
At family dinners, someone talks about being behind on rent. Someone else complains about a car payment, and you sit there quietly. Not because you don't care, because you learned that helping publicly can create resentment. So you help quietly when you can, and when you can't, you stay silent. That silence becomes a second skill. How do you answer, what do you do? You give a boring answer, something forgettable. You don't explain the portfolio. You don't talk about the numbers. You don't announce the acquisition. You don't post the check. Because every piece of information you reveal creates a new expectation, and expectations are expensive. The internet teaches people to chase attention. This story teaches the opposite. visibility can be a liability. The more people know, the more people have an opinion. The more people have an opinion, the more you feel pressure to perform. And the moment your wealth becomes a performance, you start spending money to maintain the appearance of wealth. That's the trap. You can build a fortune and still become a prisoner of the lifestyle it creates. So, you choose another path. Stay ordinary. Keep the old truck. Keep the plain kitchen. Keep your private life private. Let the assets get louder than you ever do. Then one night, something small happens. You're standing in your kitchen, laminate counters, the same counters you've said you'll replace for 6 years. Dinner is reheated rice. Nothing dramatic. Then your phone lights up. An old coworker just financed a $95,000 truck. 43 comments. Congratulations, beautiful truck, you deserve it. The whole thing is designed to look like progress. And for a second, you look at your own life. The 12-year-old truck outside, the kitchen, the plain dinner, and something unexpected happens. You don't feel behind, you feel completely detached from the race, because you suddenly realize the game you thought you were playing ended years ago. He is buying a truck, you are buying time. He's collecting comments, you're collecting ownership. He's making payments on something that loses value, you're acquiring things that can produce cash. Neither choice makes him a bad person. That's not the point. The point is that comparison only works when you're playing the same game, and you're not. The old version of you needed evidence, a better car, a bigger house, a visible success. The new version doesn't, because the numbers already know. The laundromat doesn't care what your neighbors think. The storage facility doesn't care how many followers you have. The mobile home park doesn't care whether anyone recognizes your name. The HVAC company doesn't need a blue check badge. The assets just keep doing what they were built to do. Produce, compound, repeat. And that night, standing in that ordinary kitchen, you finally understand something that took 15 years to learn. You don't have to look successful when you are building success.
You only have to keep building. So what does a $720 million empire actually look like? It doesn't necessarily look like a mansion. It can look like a spreadsheet, a rent payment, a repair invoice, a storage gate opening at 6:12 in the morning, an HVAC technician climbing a ladder, a laundromat machine turning while nobody is watching. It looks boring. And boring is powerful, because boring is repeatable. Repeatable becomes predictable. Predictable becomes scalable. Scalable becomes valuable. That doesn't mean every boring business becomes a fortune. It doesn't. The lesson isn't that you can throw money at any laundromat and wake up rich. The lesson is deeper. Wealth is often less about finding the perfect opportunity and more about building a system you can repeat without destroying yourself. Buy carefully, operate carefully, reinvest. Avoid unnecessary lifestyle inflation. Keep learning. Let time do the work you cannot force. And most importantly, stop measuring your progress by how impressive it looks to strangers. The man with the old truck might be broke, or he might be worth millions. The person with the luxury car might be wealthy, or he might owe the bank every dollar. You cannot reliably tell from the parking lot. That's the point. The surface is a terrible accounting system. Real wealth doesn't need an audience. If it needs an audience, it starts becoming a performance, and performances cost money. The quiet founder doesn't need the gas station cashier to recognize him. He doesn't need the neighbor to admire his truck. He doesn't need the internet to congratulate him. Because the empire isn't built for applause. It's built for freedom. 41 companies, hundreds of employees, years of reinvestment, one old pickup, one plain kitchen, and a fortune that became enormous while the man behind it became almost invisible. Maybe that's the most interesting part of the entire story. Not that he built $720 million, but that he never let $720 million decide who he had to become. So here's the question. If you woke up tomorrow with $720 million, could you stay exactly the same? Could you keep your life quiet? Could you resist showing everyone what you had? Or would the money become a costume you wore every day? If you're building something quietly, this channel is for you. Subscribe for more founder stories about the businesses nobody notices, the decisions nobody sees, and the wealth that gets built long before the world hears about it. And tell me in the comments, could you stay silent at $720 million?